Welcome back to the Gritty Podcast. This is another gear item I'm going to talk about, which is the BX-6 Rangefinding Binocular by Leupold. This thing is it's like new age tech. It's unbelievable. So I was able to use it on 3 different trips and use it extensively. As far as an optic goes, the glass is really clear, super clean. I love it. It has an app with it that's synced to my phone, a Leupold app. And that app, I can use that app to sync it to get pins for my Onyx. So just like the RX5000 rangefinder, which I talked about in an early podcast, the BX-6 does the same thing where you can range your object, your bear, your deer, your elk, a landmark, a mountaintop, anything you want. And it will then take those coordinates that you range and drop those coordinates into your Onyx maps. Quick announcement. Peaks has a Dyneema shelter drop this Thursday, July 16th, 7 p.m. Mountain Standard Time. You can get the Dyneema tarp. You can get the 1-person tent, the 4-person teepee, or the 6-person teepee. Use the code GRITTY and you'll save this Thursday, July 16th, 7 p.m. Mountain Standard Time. If you're interested, get in quick because it'll be when it's gone, it's gone. Or whatever map system you've got, which is really stellar. So now you can get these pins. Now the BX-6 just ranges super far. So you get a little more range than you do typically with a handheld rangefinder. Although this handheld rangefinder is impressive. The BX-6 goes a long way. I don't know how far, as far as you need it to pretty much. And I can range something. Now, all of us have been there where we try to range an object and you're hand holding it and it's shaking and you're ranging that, And the further away the object is, the harder it is to ensure that you're actually ranging the object that you think you're ranging. Well, with the BX-6, I found myself, you can do the same thing with the RX5000, but with the BX-6, I would mount it to my Tricer tripod. You can mount the BX-6s to the tripod like this, and it's got a little attachment right here that goes through, and pretty easy to hook it up to any tripod you want. And I'd set these up like this in glass for hours. But the other thing that I could do is I could put this on the subject that I am trying to range a few miles away. I can line it up, get the subject exactly where, get the crosshairs exactly where I want. Boom, they're lined up, they're on the object I want. No shaking, no moving. And I can go into my Leupold app like this, and I can open my app and I can say range. And this thing will, without me having to touch it, and shake it and move it, I can say range or get my pin and it will, boom, it'll hit that object and do it without me doing anything to it. It's almost like a guarantee that you're hitting exactly what you think you're hitting at those longer ranges, and you're getting that exact range, that exact pin location without having to touch the bino at all once you have it lined up. And so I did that a number of times. I did it once for this bear that was, as a crow flies, at least 3 or 4 miles away on foot. It's like a 9-mile hike, probably. So you have to go all the way around the mountains and up these cliffs and around and on foot. But as a crow flies, if you could get there straight, 3.5 miles. This thing ranged the exact location, dropped a pin. And then I could analyze all my maps to figure out a route there where that bear might be. Yeah, it was pretty cool. I have these range-finding binos from Leupold, the BX-6. So I just put it up there, ranged the bear, and dropped the pin exactly where it was standing. So it seems a little unfair. It seems like cheating. The distance is exact. And then the elevation looks exact too. I mean, it looks like that pin is within, I'd say 20 or 30 yards of where I saw the bear. pretty freaking amazing because it's miles away.
So I'm glassing up in this canyon I'm looking at, and I'm like, dude, I swear that stump wasn't there, and suddenly it moved, and I'm like, I got a bear. Brian comes rushing over, and we just caught a glimpse of it before I went down in front of this ridge in these green folds. It's super like golf course green up there. So Brian got a really good picture of it. Looks like a phenomenal bear. So we opted. I mean, it was a good choice to stay down here because we wouldn't have spotted him halfway up this canyon.
Anyway, we're gonna get over there, and we have a pin dropped where it was last night. In the past, I've done that. I mean, it's not like I haven't dropped a pin where I've seen an animal, but I'm always using the
kind of guess method.
Yeah, I'm always using like the topo combined with satellite imagery and guessing elevation, triangulating peaks with lines across the map. But I'm gonna lose all those mapping skills now that I have this electronic device that is, there's your pin. It's a little unfair, but it's a serious, like, just because you can see it from here, there's no way to get there's cliffs and rivers, and so we have to go way around, but it's going to be fun. So let's go, Trav.
All right, let's go get it done, man.
We'll go get ourselves packed up and get out of here. Now, in the past, I would use satellite imagery. I would use, I would draw lines, cross-section, kind of grid a spot a little bit. I would use topo lines, elevation markers, all sorts of things to try to plot where that animal is. This range-finding bino, being able to plot it for you, it's kind of unfair. It feels a little bit like cheating. So the RX-5000 does the same thing, but not like it does with the range-finding bino, which goes a little bit further. And but you could mount this inside of a cradle adapter, and you could hit the range, and you can sync this up too with the app and do a lot of the same things as far as dropping a pin goes. Now, where the BX-6 is different and where it really starts to change things is the BX-6 has a weather station built into it. It has this new technology where it accounts for temperature, pressure, elevation, all those things. And then it syncs with your rifle ballistics. And it takes all those things into calculation to tell you, and angle comp as well, angle compensation, to tell you what to shoot for, which makes it incredible. Like, and as much as that attracts me, I am not a big time long range shooter. You guys know that. You followed me for a long time. Mostly, I think I've killed almost all animals I've ever shot were 400 or closer. And, but for angle compensation, weather, elevation, adjustment, all that stuff just to be built in, and I don't have to really do anything. I just range and it tells me where to dial. That's incredible. The other thing that this does, though, that I think it's what I'm working on this week. So I'll report back. I'll talk a little bit more about it. What I'm doing right now is I'm getting this dialed in with my bow. So I've got my prime 35-7 here and the divide, and I'm syncing this up to the sight tape that I have on the bow right here. And this is my option sight, it's two sights combined into one, sort of a homemade job where I've taken the Canyon Pounder and then the normal option 5 or something, or 6, and put these together. Anyway, I have this range on this tape, and at my house, at my elevation, in the summertime, at the temperatures I'm shooting, and the humidity level, elevation, all those things, that tape's great. But what happens when I go to 10,000 feet? What happens when it's raining? What happens when the string is soaking wet? Like these little things, what happens when the angle's like straight down and a long way away? Well, with today's tech and with this BX-6 rangefinder, it calculates, it takes into consideration all those factors. So Pedro Ampuero, if you saw his recent film, he did a Marco Polo film. Excellent film. If you have not seen it, you have to go see it. Pedro's a dear friend, and also I kind of idolize what he accomplished there. Like, he's a hero in a way, and also he's a punk. He's a punk who lets the air out of your mattress. But Pedro told me firsthand that, because he's gone from his home, like in Spain, then he's gone to like insane 14,000 foot places, like the Marco Polo, maybe 15,000 feet. and then back to like coastlines and African level, and sometimes with a lot of angles, but lower elevation. And he would struggle, and he had a whole method for dealing with, switching out tapes when he went to a new place and shooting a certain amount. And then he would kind of try to calculate. But the further that you get out there at the 100 yard, 90 yard, 80 yard, 120 yard, these little ballistic details, how wet your string is, how humid the air is, the elevation that you're at, all these things start to play a big role. And then a lot of these rangefinders haven't been able to really give you ranges beyond this. This is kind of their range. So what happens when an animal's right here? The calculation's off. And the further away it would get, the worse it would be. Well, now with this BX-6 and what Leupold has been able to do, it calculates it all. And it takes into consideration all those weather conditions, elevation markers, all of that, all built inside this beast. So Pedro can go from hunting in the cliffs of Hawaii at sea level. I don't know if he's ever done that, and then he can go to Mongolia, which I know he has done, or Pakistan at 10 or 12,000 feet. He can range the animal, and he doesn't have to change his sight tape. It just says, hey, normally you would dial to 75, but here we're going to have you dial to 58. What? Huh? 64, whatever that is. And he told me that he was out there with his normal rangefinder, and he was about to shoot an animal, and he had this prototype, the new version of the BX-6, and he was ranging the animal, and it was the difference between his rangefinder, his handheld, his kind of usual that he'd used in the past, and his BX-6 was like 12 or 14 yards at long range. Like, what? That's like so different. I think he was in WhatsApp saying, guys, are you guys sure, with the Leupold engineers? And they're like, trust us, this does it all. And so what I find fascinating is I can shoot right here at my backyard at the elevation I live at in the summertime. And I can go to a total archery challenge event that might be at 12,000 feet, 10,000, 11,000, like much higher than where I live. That elevation change starts to affect your arrow flight. You get out there in farther ranges, and some of the courses I'm trying to shoot 95, 100 yards, 105 yards for fun, 115. Well, I really can't be off by 1 yard. You can't be off by half a yard at those ranges. And so what you end up with is like even half yard increments, but also it's calculating all those conditions, and it's saying to you, hey, Brian, nice sight tape at your house. Keep it on there. All you got to do now is just dial to what we say in the bino. Just dial to that range and you hit. And sure enough, you do. I got to wonder, thinking back, and I was asking Pedro about this since he's done so much more archery than I have over the years and traveled the world. I'm like, dude, what happens? Like, how many times have you missed an animal? And it was simply not your shooting at all. It's just the calculation was wrong. Just wrong. Like, to be able to have the knowledge that you got the calculations figured out. I've always said this, like, about archery. There's your shooting ability, and then there's getting everything technically dialed right. Like, if your bow's not tuned, your sight tape is off, you throw in all these different factors and you miss the target. How much of it was you and how much of it was your setup? Most guys blame their setup every time. It's never them. I'm the other way. I think usually if I miss, it's my fault. But looking at the technical aspects of making long range shots at different places, at different elevation, different weather zones, different weather conditions, all those subtle things start to really add up. So for Leupold to have come out with this BX-6 that will do these things, it's remarkable. I wish I had these for my mountain goat hunt. I think that would have been an incredible tool for me at that point. I'm hunting so high, and my sight tape at home versus my sight tape up there, different ball game. And I know that, and so I'm trying to sight it in when I'm up there versus when I'm down here. Pedro would just per elevation, he would kind of just have a different tape made. And then he's like, what elevation am I hunting? And he'd stick that tape on before he even, sight it in or anything. He just would swap it out and double check some things, and to be able to just have your stuff dialed in right here at your house and a sight tape and never have to touch it again, just to be able to use the Rangefinding Bino BX-6. I will just tell you all those calculations. It's incredible. So I'm excited to get it set up with my bow, which I'm working on now that I've just got a new sight tape put on this week. Total Archery Challenge is this weekend coming up. So I'm hoping to get out there and put these BX6s to the test. But anyway, that's what, that's my little spiel on the BX6. They're an expensive item, but they're amazing. They're doing it all. So, the 5,000, is an excellent, like, it does a lot of the same things, but it's not the BX6. So check that out if you're interested. I think they're a phenomenal product. So that's my take on the BX6. First time using them was this year. If you don't go with the 6, you got to get the 5,000, because like I said on the earlier podcast, the way these things plot your location and so on, amazing. All right, that's it for this episode. Thanks for tuning in. Head over to Peaks. Got that giveaway going on right now. Every dollar you spend over there is an entry to win. Use the code GRITTY, and yeah, stay gritty.